Okay, guys, we are back. And so this news broke, I don't know, maybe an hour or so ago. The Queen's Gambit. Uh, a record setting 62 million households chose to watch The Queen's Gambit in the first 28 days, making it the biggest Netflix, biggest scripted limited series to date. I watched the show with my wife. We really enjoyed it. You know, it's funny. The other day, NPR radio, I was listening on the way to work, had a whole section about, a whole article, a segment about how chess sets, ever since this show premiered, worldwide are struggling to keep up. Toy makers and gaming companies that produce chess sets. And they went from having like a 30% market share to, or 30% in sales to 1,280% in sales since the premiere of the show. And it doesn't surprise me because the way this show films the segments and has people, moving and there's this beautiful when she starts to think about the chess pieces, everything becomes like this board, and you see all the pieces start moving. Pretty cool, man. And look, I love this because if people can get excited about chess, and get away from, like a whole generation of kids from not get them away from video games, but get them to look and see that there's other things that they can do with a person one-on-one, and play chess. I think it's a great thing. It's a great thing for probably the health and well-being of people. And so I really, really enjoyed this show. And I liked Anya Taylor-Joy. I thought she was great. And, there's this picture that went viral where somebody composited the picture of the little girl and her, and just wild on how the casting of the series was, that they were able to find people that look so much like it. I dug that later on, as the show picked up, Thomas Brody Sangster was in it. My wife was a big Harry Potter fan, I believe. Wasn't he in Harry Potter? No. He was in Love Actually. That's what my wife kept saying as we were watching the show is, Love Actually, that's the little boy in Love Actually. He's all grown up. That's the little boy in Love Actually. So it was pretty cool to see him in that as well. And I think the casting all around was really good. And the storyline was great. I mean, Harry Melling is another actor that I loved him. Every time he popped up, like the one time in the car when he was in the parking lot and he said, he knew like she had addiction problems, whether it be the alcohol, the drugs. He could see it because his dad was an alcoholic, and he was like, I'm here if you need someone to talk to, blah, 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 blah. And I loved the actress that played the mother in the show was great. Overall, I just really enjoyed this, and I can see the allure and why. I think Netflix was saying on Twitter too, the series made the top 10 in 92 countries. 92 countries. Number one in 63 countries. And the novel that it was based on has entered the New York Times bestseller list 37 years after its release. And Google searches for how to play chess hit a 9-year peak. Those were fun facts related to the Queen's Gambit that Netflix put out on Twitter. Guys, what a wild show. And look, I like limited series. I don't need to watch a show that's 10 seasons long. I'm glad they limited this to the amount of episodes that they did, and that they didn't try to drag out, you take one, I worked on Under the Dome for CBS, and that was originally supposed to be a limited series. And when the first episode premiered and we had 14 million households had watched the first episode of Under the Dome, they had rewritten a lot of the episodes we were on, which would have finished the show, and left it open. And then they brought it back for a season 2. And then by the time season 3 rolled around, I think Stephen King had taken his name off the project because it was only called CBS's Under the Dome. In the first season, it was Stephen King's Under the Dome. I think second season was stretching it. Now, even though the book Under the Dome was like 1,000 pages thick, they really stretched it to make it 3 seasons, and it wind up killing the show is what it did, because it just went so far off the rails that Stephen King took his name off the show. And so with that being said, like, I like the fact that they didn't try to drag this thing out. Netflix has a good track record of, doing really well with a small show like this, and then it's done. The book is over, it's done. And I'm glad things like Ozark is getting ready to end after this season, because like I feel like you start to beat a dead horse depending on the show. Now, some shows, like Supernatural can go to 12 seasons or whatever, or One Tree Hill can go to 9, or whatever the case may be. Or, all the Law and Orders, good God, because they pull from the topics, right off the headlines. They can keep going for 20 seasons or whatever the case may be. But I like these tight-knit, one and done. That's fine for me. I don't need to have something dragged out. And so I really enjoyed all of this. One of my favorite scenes was the negotiation that the lead actress did with her father in the divorce. He was trying to sell the house, and she, there was this back and forth about, well, what's the equity in it, blah, 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 blah. And she was just like negotiating back and forth with him and all this other kind I love, that was one of my favorite scenes in the whole show. But of course all the chess stuff was great. And then, that she finally beats the Russian. So, what did you guys think? Did you like the Queen's Gambit? Are you surprised that Netflix is popping this thing off in 60 million house? And with this kind of success, does this continue to put the nail in the coffin for, cinematic releases? If you can hit this amount of households, whether it's Disney Plus or whether it's HBO Max or whether it's Netflix, does this put the nail in the coffin for cinemas, for big cinemas? I mean, well, I don't know. We'll see. What did you guys think of the Queen's Gambit? Let's talk about it in the comments section, and we'll see you on the next one.